From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. The 29th Alaska Legislature gavelled in its second regular session as oil hit $28 a barrel today.
Jamie Swartzwald has details on how lawmakers plan to address a looming $3.5 billion budget gap.
The Senate was the first body to convene, gaveling in late this morning to open the scheduled 90-day session. The House gavelled in just after 1 p.m. The state faces an estimated $3.5 billion budget shortfall amid steadily sinking oil prices. The state budget is primarily funded through oil royalties. However, Governor Walker has proposed moving away from budgeting around the volatile oil market, proposing to use permanent fund earnings or an income tax to finance state government. Senate Finance Co-Chair Pete Kelly of Fairbanks expects to make broad-based cuts to government operations. He says the $350 million in cuts to state operating dollars last year did not have a tremendous impact, adding that legislators must find more fat this year.
We have proven that this government has a lot of fat in it. And we have to keep going, because I will not ask the people of Alaska, I will not ask the flat rate mechanic and the nurse and the employee at the 7-Eleven to start giving up their money, the fruits of their labor, to keep this operation going the way it is.
Representative Scott Kawasaki of Fairbanks is joining a group to propose the formation of a Ways and Means Committee to vet all ideas related to state revenue and budget issues.
We used to have one back in the early 2000s when we were in a similar fiscal situation, but basically to vet all efficiencies and all revenue measures to see how they would impact regular, everyday Alaskans. I think we deserve a committee like that will work, that will be able to vet the proposals that are coming forward.
The majority will seek to reform the state Medicaid system, the way oil tax credits are distributed, and how the state runs a prison system that has come under fire as of late due to several reported inmate deaths.
It has to be, how do we have public safety? How do we change the way we're doing our prison system? And can we get cost savings out of it in the meanwhile? Those are going to be something you'll see us continually push forward this year. It's a big and tenacious piece of work that in 12 weeks is going to be tough to move through. I can tell you that. It's just going to be that tough.
A third Iditarod restart in Fairbanks is looking a little less likely after a meeting between Borough Mayor Carl Castle and race organizers earlier today. Castle says he met with Iditarod Trail Committee CEO Stan Hooley, among other officials, who say trail conditions for a Willow restart are beginning to look acceptable. The group of Iditarod insiders is still vetting areas throughout the interior Fairbanks North Star Borough in case rain or high temperatures impact snow on the course's southern restart. Castle says significant parts of the Chena River are not frozen, which may push organizers to move a Fairbanks starting line on land similar to last year. Castle says the borough hopes to benefit by planning ahead this year or lay the groundwork for possible future restarts instead of responding in a reactionary manner.
There were people who wanted to buy merchandise that were related. They couldn't get to the merchandise booth. There was long delays for bus transportation, so it made it less of an event for folks who actually missed parts of the event because they were traveling, trying to get to or from the start area. So just all the opportunities available for the community to try to get more people interested in coming here, knowing that it's going to be a good event.
A 28-year-old Fort Wainwright soldier has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for possession of child pornography. Stephen Michael St. Hilaire was also ordered to be on supervised release for 15 years after he gets out of prison. The sentence was handed down in federal court today by U.S. District Judge Ralph Beislein. According to court records, St. Hilaire was identified by law enforcement using an internet file sharing network to trade images of child pornography. The case was investigated by the FBI with assistance from the United States Army and was part of Project Safe Childhood, a nationwide initiative to combat the growing epidemic of child exploitation and abuse.
A Circle man charged with sexual abuse to a minor pleaded not guilty this afternoon at the Fairbanks courthouse. 40-year-old Gerald Guinness is charged with first-degree sexual assault to a minor under the age of 13. The warrant for the arrest was issued on January 8th, and he was arrested on Saturday morning. Guinness is also facing a driving without a license charge. His court date is set for April. All right, when we come back, the interim chancellor for UAF was the guest speaker at today's chamber luncheon. We'll tell you what he had to say.
Also, in our weekly health report, Monty Bowen says there's a contagious virus that can be confused with the flu, but it is much more dangerous, more about Inoculosis. Then when we return, stay with us.
And welcome back. In Washington, D.C. tomorrow, the United States Supreme Court will consider a case by an Alaskan hunter over land use. The case is Sturgeon versus Masika. John Sturgeon was moose hunting in the Yukon-Charlie Rivers National Preserve, where hunting is allowed and so are motorboats and fixed-wing aircraft. He had been hunting the area since 1971, but in 2007 he went out on a hovercraft. Sturgeon says he was on a sandbar when park rangers contacted him and told him to move his hovercraft. He was told if he started it, he would be cited, so friends helped him pull it away from the sandbar. That prompted the court case. Since the Supreme Court considers only a small percentage of the hundreds of cases it is asked to review, Sturgeon thinks they are looking at the big picture of whether states should have rights over their water.
I had flak jackets on and guns and badges and the whole thing, and they said that I had to remove it immediately, and I said, well, I'll drive it out of here right now, and I didn't know it was a problem. They said, well, if you start it up, you get a citation. And so I said, how am I supposed to get it out of here? And he said, well, that's your problem. I'm just guessing that the Supreme Court didn't take this case because they thought that the Ninth Circuit made a brilliant legal decision.
The interim chancellor Michael Powers spoke at the Chamber of Commerce luncheon earlier today. Powers started his presentation by talking about the unique qualities UAF has to offer and why we are a university with deep roots in the community. Powers went on to talk about the budget cuts and what UAF plans to do. He touched base on several ideas but was upfront about tuition hikes, program consolidations, and staff layoffs that the university will have to do. Another point Powers spoke about was the unfinished engineer building, which costs about $500,000 a year just for the upkeep of the empty building.
That completing that engineering building remains UAF and UA's #1 capital priority. We're working very hard on private donations. There could be the potential of debt financing through a bond issuance. We would like to complete the 4th floor with the energy center. Still, all those are a little bit premature, but we're aggressively looking at all opportunities. We know it's not going to be coming through the state.
A contagious virus that can be confused with the flu in its early stages frequently makes the rounds this time of year. Monty Bowen has details now in this week's Health Report.
Mononucleosis is often referred to as the kissing disease because the virus is transmitted through saliva. Mono can also be spread through coughs, sneezes, or sharing utensils and dishes with an infected person. The symptoms are flu-like at the beginning.
It presents exactly like the flu. You have extreme fatigue, you have fever, you have body aches, and most of the time it is diagnosed as the flu first.
Mono usually is not serious, but it can last for weeks, even months.
Be aware of it, especially in the winter months. It seems to be more prevalent, and I see it a lot in my teenagers and young adults.
A diagnosis comes through a blood test. Treatment is only symptomatic.
There's no treatment. You have to rest, drink plenty of fluids, and just get back to your normal routine. It's a virus. It's going to have to run its course.
The infection is only contagious in the early stages.
You're contagious the first 2 to 4 weeks. That's when you have to not kiss anybody or drink after or before anybody.
The most common cause of mono is the Epstein-Barr virus, but other viruses can also be the culprit. This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The Health Report is brought to you by the Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic, located in the Medical Dental Arts Building, and by Interior Women's Health, located on 1626 30th Avenue.
So there's colds, flus, now mononucleosis to worry about.
Mononucleosis.
That's right.
Let's just call it mono from now on.
Just call it mono, yeah, that's what most people call it. All right, Joe Cook is up next with sports and brings us another Nana Corner. Also, he recaps the Joe T Classic, and a musher wins $25,000.
All that and more after the break with Joe.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here with your local Tuesday Sportscast. Monday, the Kuskokwim 300 had a young musher repeat as its champion. Pete Kaiser, 28 years old, out of Bethel, finished the 300-mile race from Bethel to Antioch and back in 40 hours, 36 minutes, 21 seconds to repeat as Kuskokwim champion. He won $25,000. Kaiser is just the fourth musher to repeat as champion in this race. Brent Sass was the runner-up, and he earned $17,000. Yor Uslam was third, followed by Richie Deal and Josh Kadzow to round out the top 5 finishers. The Alaska Nanook hockey team is steadily improving at the right time. They enter their bye week tied for 8th in the WCHA. We chat with the team as they continue to make strides in today's Nanook Corner. The UAF hockey team is figuring some things out as of late. Entering their bye week, they are 7-13-4 overall and 5-11-4 in the WCHA, tied for 8th in the final postseason spot with UAA. There are 5 series left on the schedule, and head coach Dallas Ferguson is seeing improvement.
I like the mentality the guys are playing, and I think the concept of how we need to play has been a lot more consistent in our last 8 games. Our specialty teams have been much better than they were the first 10 games. Our power play is up around 18. Our penalty kills about 85.5, which are good numbers in college hockey. Heading into the last 10 games, we've got to take another step and find some ways to get points on back-to-back nights.
Alaska also has a road warrior. Senior Alek Hadukovic has a game-winning goal in 3 straight away series. After missing some games, he simplified his approach since returning.
Game-winning goals, I think, come and go. I don't think you really focus on trying to win the game with a goal. But yeah, I guess just having fun and enjoying the process more than focusing on the little things.
Veteran Nolan Heisman has 16 points, which is 3rd best on the team. He's also tallied 7 points in the last 6 games. The leadership on this team is showing the younger guys that they'll need everyone to chip in if they want to make a deep run.
Going into the Saturday night games, we have to, learn to make sure that we're closing those ones out well. I mean, Saturday in Northern, we had a lead in the 3rd and kind of let it slip, and but we're learning from it, and we'll just continue to get better as the season progresses here to the end.
Alaska has earned points in their last 4 series. After the bye, they will head to Wisconsin to take on the Badgers. Joe Cook reporting.
Nanook Corner, brought to you by Sports Medicine Fairbanks.
And before another busy week of high school basketball gets started, we'll take a look back at the Joe T. Classic at Lathrop High School. Saturday was the final day of games at the Joe T. Classic. The Lathrop ski team cheered on the Lathrop girls as they faced rival West Valley for the first time. Ruthie Hebert had a game-high 30 points for West Valley in a tough physical game, but Lathrop pulled away in the second half as Abigail Steffen hit 9 of her 11 points in the 3rd quarter, and Jana Hadukovic closed out a 60-46 win for Lathrop.
We kept our heads in the game. We didn't get frantic. We just played our own game and realized that if we were going to win, we were going to win together, and that's what we did.
In the boys' title game, Jason James threw down 2 of his 21 points for Ketchikan, who almost ran over South, but the Wolverines rallied, cutting a double-digit deficit down to 2 in the 4th. Matthew Stantley scored a game-high 31 for the Kings, and James hit some critical free throws late, and K-High wins 71-67 to win the title.
It's a lot of pressure, so I hit the shot, so it's good.
Man, I don't know. Last year we came here, I went 1 for 10, and this year I'm just hot. So I guess just got to give credit to my teammates for giving me open looks and knocking down shots.
In the nightcap, Lathrop took on North Pole. The Malamutes went crazy in the 1st quarter, starting the game on an 8-0 run. They led 25-5 at the end of the 1st quarter, and they cruised to a 74-44 win over the Patriots.
It feels great to get 1 win in this tournament at least and pull one out for Joe T.
It was a good battle, and all the teams that came to play. So really, I just told my team, just give it all we got, and now we're ready to get back into practice and start grinding because now we got conference games coming up.
Lathrop's Gabriel Howard, Tyra Doe, and Hadukovic, North Pole's Kenny Peterson, and West Valley's Hebert were all tournament picks. Ketchikan Stantley and Elia Anderson were Joe T MVPs as the Kings sweep this year's Joe T Classic titles. Joe Cook reporting. And local curlers are competing in Wilmar, Minnesota this week in the Junior National Championships. After Monday's matches, Quinn Evanson of Fairbanks is in 4th place with the high-performance team. They split Monday's matches, and they have a 3-2 record. In the women's division, Team Alaska is 1-3 after losing 2 matches on Monday. Fairbanks is Cora Farrell, Ariel Traxler, Ann O'Hara, and Amy Schomer from Anchorage make up the Team Alaska squad. Pool play continues through Thursday, and the playoffs begin on Friday. We'll have more on a Lathrop baseball player who signed a national letter of intent in Wednesday's Sportscast. But that's it for sports tonight. Mike Schultz is next with weather, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey, welcome back in, everyone. Mike Schultz with you once again, talking about the weather on a Tuesday night. A very quiet pattern across the state. A few flakes of snow, that's about it. As you can see on the satellite picture, not a whole lot going on. This area of low pressure moving across helped to push a little moisture across our area, but that is just about moving out of the picture. And now we're just getting kind of a little few areas of moisture moving across. That combined with the cold temperatures is condensing into a little light snow here and there, but nothing really heavy going on. As far as the rest of the state is concerned, you can see here, looking at showers around the Ketchikan area. Also Juneau 33 degrees, Kodiak 38 degrees, lots of showers there. Also showers in the Anchorage Bowl. Up and down the west coast, temperatures looking at Bethel 8 degrees, only 7 degrees at Nome, and 2 below at Barrow, with Fort Yukon at 2 degrees below zero. Time for our kids' weather, and all this week we're talking with the kids from Tuckasik Brown Elementary School. Tonight, here's a young man with an interesting weather picture that he drew about a storm.
My name is Rocky. I'm in Miss Nelson Myrado's 3rd grade class, and this is my picture. The way how to make a tornado is by heat, wind, and lightning. It forms and make a tornado.
What else is on there, Rocky?
Lightning, tree, sun, sky, and wind.
Yeah, Rocky likes to draw a lot. It wasn't too bad of a job there, Rocky. Good job. And again, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather each night. Tomorrow night, a young lady will be here to ask a question about the wind. How about national weather? What's going on there over the west coast? You can see again another storm system moving in across the from the Pacific Ocean into the west coast. More snow moving across the Central Plains, but it's just the beginning of what can be a major winter storm developing. As I was talking about last night, looking at a lot of cold air helping to make this become a one to remember. It looks like it's going to be. Major travel delays, blowing and drifting, coastal flooding, strong coastal winds. That should be starting probably about tomorrow night into Thursday and really be wrapping up really good and strong by this weekend. And the jet stream once again is the culprit behind all this. As you can see, the winds once again blowing off of the Pacific Ocean, then driving that storm system way on down into the Gulf of Mexico. That combined with the cold air is helping to produce, well, like I said, it's going to be a very powerful storm. Meanwhile, back here in Alaska for tomorrow, our forecast for the northern sections, flurries expected at Barrow, blowing snow in Nome, snow showers for Fort Yukon. And in the interior, it looks like a pretty quiet day, mainly cloudy skies at Fairbanks, light snow possible in Healy and Delta Junction, while over southeast Alaska, we're looking at scattered showers at Juneau, light rain also in Ketchikan. Over to the southwest, it looks like mixed showers for Cold Bay, rain for Kodiak, and partly cloudy skies for Bethel. And down over the interior, or I should say south central sections, mostly cloudy skies in Anchorage and Homer, a little snow in Valdez. Out at the airport right now, our numbers look like this. Our today's high was 9 degrees. The low last night, 6. The record high, 42 in 1981, 64 below in 1906. Your sunrise and sunset, about a little more than 5.5 hours of daylight. And our forecast for tonight, cloudy skies with some areas of light snow, 5 below for the overnight low. Tomorrow's forecast, calling for continued cold with mostly cloudy skies. And look at this 5-day outlook. Again, not much change at all. Continued temperatures above normal for this time of year, really above normal by the last day there, 14 above. Overnight lows will also continue way above normal. Chilly, but not too bad for it can be this time of year. And our photograph for tonight, well, this is a nice one. This one's sent in by Michelle Ingraham, and she was able to capture a sundog on the Steese Highway. And they're coming out now because you get the cold temperatures and the frost, and you can see again, that was a very beautiful photograph. And again, photos at ktvf11.com if you have one that you would like to submit. That's pretty.
Is the sundog like a big lens flare in the sky?
Basically, yeah.
Pretty much.
Reflecting off of all 3 sides, you know.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
It is. You'll see a lot of those in the really cold temperatures, but evidently it was cold enough that the ice crystals were reflecting the sun on that one.
Yeah, very good. Okay,
cool.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
That will wrap up this edition of the Fbx Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Well, tonight on NBC Nightly News, with the sanctions lifted on Iran, more oil is expected to pour into the world markets. That'll make some interesting situations. That's up next with Lester Holt.
Be sure and tune in to J.R. Lewis tomorrow morning during the Today Show for more news and school bus updates.
Okay, from all of us here at the News Center, have a great night.
Good night.